Everyone, welcome back. Today, this is just going to be kind of a free flow thing because you may have seen that I have uploaded a few golf games for my Handspring Visor. I bought this unit with the Tiger Woods Golf, which is still not quite working yet. It's a cartridge. The Handsprings took cartridges, but also they work just like regular Palm Pilots. So I haven't spent a lot of money on this device, probably about close to 30, $35 for the device with the cartridge now and the cradle to dock it. But of course, you can't really exchange data without a cradle unless you got a very modern Palm Pilot that uses maybe Bluetooth. And the other thing is once I play the cartridge game, if I could do that, that's about all it could do. And then it's just got some basic organizer functions. I can't back up my data that I saved on there or anything like that. I can't put programs or games on there. So with the cradle now and the Handspring Visor unit, there is a site called Palm. Sorry, you can hear the cat sneezing and licking right now, of course. You go out to a site called, this is probably the best one. There's other stuff out there, but the best one at the moment, PalmDB. And on PalmDB, this gives me everything I need to actually run this unit on Windows 10. And I already have things installed, but I'll show you what I've got. So the real key is on here, you want to find the this driver right here, the USB driver for this little docking station. And once that's installed, I'll show you what you got to do. And then you also want the Palm Desktop stuff, which you can also search through this archive and find the Palm Desktop utility, or on the Internet Archive. I found it on there too. So you can get different versions on there. But once you have the driver installed, it might be a little tricky at first because you've got to start up you can see this little icon down here that I'm pointing to. This is the hot sync manager, and that needs to be running. So it's important to have that running before you do anything. So just as an example, now that this is connected, I'm going to turn this on. Sorry about the light, but I've got that so you can see the screen here a little bit. Oh, also, you can see this Palm Simulator. If you want to simulate this on a computer, which I probably will try and do with the color versions of Palm things, because I used to have a tungsten that died, and it was really fun because there are some pretty decent games on there. I mean, this isn't anything that's going to shatter your minds, that's for sure, but it's just a little fun to mess around with, and it's something pretty cheap to get into. You could spend about $30, $35 and get a Handspring or an old Palm Pilot with a dock, and you could play around with this stuff. It gets a little more expensive once you get into the more modern ones and color ones. You know, if you're willing to spend $100, you could do something like that, or you could just use the Palm Simulator. So once you have all this installed, you start the Hot Sync Manager, and the Hot Sync Manager will actually allow you, oh, you know what I haven't done? I haven't plugged in the Palm Pilot into my computer. So you got to plug this in, the USB cable, obviously. Well, not obviously. There's serial ones too. So what you want to do is you want to buy the USB one if possible. Unless you got a really old computer and you want to try it on there, which will work all natively with serial and stuff like that. Now, I've plugged it in, but you don't hear anything right now. What it'll do is now that I got the Hot Sync Manager going and I press there's a button right on the dock here. I probably should have this up a little higher. Let me move a few things around. I'll use sorry about the reflection of light on the screen, but it is necessary to see all this stuff. Try and get the best lighting I can. All right. So now if I push this, it connects and it syncs. And what it's doing right now is just backing up what I have on there right now. Nothing fancy. But when you get into, and then it disconnects just like that. So if anyone does this and they plug it in and they're not hearing anything because you've got to plug in the USB. The driver doesn't quite work until you do the hot sync, and then you hear it. It connects during that. So it's not connecting this unit until you push the button, and then it activates it, and it connects, and then disconnects. You heard that through the Windows sound notification. But then if you get the Palm Desktop, you can install games. So I'm going to go to my desktop because I moved everything just recently. So Palm Pilot. And what's a game I haven't added yet? I don't think I've got Billiards on here. So a lot of these I've already added. So I'm just going to show you this one, Billiards. And if I go home here, I'm not sure if you can quite see on the screen. You can see I got things on here like Froggy and Muppy. Those are like arcade clones. There's a golf game. But I don't have... Billiards yet. Billiards would be right. There's address, calculator, so it'd be right in between there. So I have that in the add thing, and then I say done. And then it'll tell you next time you sync, it'll be on there. And I say okay. And I push the sync button, or I can hit the hot sync on here. And then I can manually enter it, local sync. It'll do it the same way, but pushing the button works, so I just usually do that. I don't know if you can read that. It says Billiards, synchronizing Billiards. Now it's backing up other stuff. And then we go back to home here. And now you can see Billiards is on there. And it's a really pretty decent version of a billiard game. That's where you can aim. There you go. Yeah, that's it. You line up your shots and stuff, and then you hit the ball. So you can adjust the angle through here. You can move it where you hit the cue, so you can get some backspin. You can change the amount of pressure you want, and then you hit it. That should get it to the backspin. I got that ball in. And now I want to be up here. You guys aren't going to be able to see it, but I'll just try that real quick. Yeah, that wasn't lined up good, but that's fine. But you get it. That's all it takes. And then you can load lots of games on there. Like I said, I've got little things like this thing that's... Let me move that right down to that and zoom in. There we go. So, you ask Daria, like, hey, is this upload going to get over 100 views? And I click ask, and it says, gee, that's interesting. I guess you can be intellectually gifted and still be morally bankrupt. It doesn't always work. It's kind of like a magic 8-ball. So, what are you, a smart ass? And she says, I believe in that one. I go, definitely no. So here's a bunch of other games. This is just really quick to show. So you say start. Now this one, I think these work, yeah. I mean, some games are pretty good. This is a pretty good, oh, that didn't stay long. This is a pretty good version of Frogger. There, I got the Lady Frog. So I'll try and show some of these games really quick. Try and keep it in focus here. We saw Billiards. There's the Daria thing. There's like a Yoda thing, which is similar. I seek answers. like, oh, is today going to be a good day? You click that, and it's like, decide you must. So, always in motion is the future. So it just gives you a bunch of Yoda isms. Here's a nice one, SimCity. This works really good on here. You got all your stuff you want up here. You can add roads, everything. Let's just say I want to add some roads around here. You just draw right on the screen. See, that's fantastic. The scrolling, I think, works through. Yeah, you can use these buttons to scroll on the unit, or you can scroll on the side here. But I've been playing and developing a little bit of the landscape. Let me move over just a little bit here. And I'm not looking at it straight on, so I'm not tapping this properly. So if I want to add more industrial or a police station, let's add commercial. I can literally just tap, and I've got commercial down there. And then I go up and I say I need power. Oops, I hit my budget. Go with these figures. Oh, no, I did have power. It just automatically must have set it. So then I run off of like the there, and I run my power there. It gets power and it starts functioning just like regular SimCity. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then let me show this golf game. And it's a Japanese game, but it plays pretty good. Sure, I'll continue from where I was. Is that a little dark? Might be a little dark. You can go down here and set your screen contrast. So you can set it. Certain games look better darker, some look better lighter. So you can change that stuff. There's a little dot right down there. So I can change my woods and irons with these buttons. Once I hit this, I'm ready to tee off, and then I can aim my aim. I want to go against the wind, obviously, so I should go back to the right a little bit. And I hit the button one more time. And then I got the little center dot there, see, on the ball, to see if you're going to hook or slice it. I'm talking funny because I got the that in my mouth. But this is a nice little golf game, too. It plays pretty good, and it's a little different from the other ones. It's different from the Tiger Woods, and it's different from the Zio Golf. Now, if I was in sunlight, this would look perfectly fine, but I got the room a little dark here, so you're not getting a lot of glares off everything from windows and stuff. So my next shot, I got 208 yards to go. I'll keep with that. I'll just hit it regular. It's aiming right at the hole, so I'm sure the wind will blow it a little bit. You know, this would be a great game on a flight or something, or having to travel by train or something, or if you had a commute and you didn't have to drive back in the 90s or the early 2000s. All right, 48 left, 80 yards. I'm going to hit this a little over 50%. Not too bad. It takes its time. It's a little slow. I thought the battery life on this thing was garbage, but I got a bad batch of batteries from Walmart. Everything was dying in like probably a quarter of the time. It was a really bad batch, but this batch of batteries I've been using this for hours and hours right now. All right, so we got 5 meters left, 5.4 out of a 10. So let's go a little over half. There you go. There's one hole. And then it gives you your score. Now it's in Japanese. There's a button. Which button is it? Let me hit that again. This button here. This tells you to show scorecard or end the round. So I can go down and say end the round. And because it end the round. Because it's in Japanese, the font's on in there, so it looks all weird. What other game we got on here? Tetris, Yoda. Well, this is just like a little virtual pet, but it's pretty boring. Look, the cat just goes after whatever you give it. It sleeps, it wakes up. You got a few things like here's a fish I can give it so it can eat. Come get the fish. There you go. I don't know if I can pet it or anything. It just stops and then it puts another fish on there. Pretty boring. But there's tons of games on that site, PalmDB. And there's also tons of games usually on the Internet Archive. And there's some other sites too, but you got to trust them. So you might want to scan the files before you use them. Puzzle Bobble on here is pretty good. The one thing you want to do, though, is you want to use the letters because it's a lot easier to see the different styles. If I go into, it's just the options. If I go into options, you can see you can change the style of the balls, but these make it really difficult. So there's 3 styles, but I found that just simply using the letters is the best on a version like this. If you had a color device, it would probably be fine. Looks like I'm in trouble here. Is that going to actually disappear? It did. All right. So it works just like Puzzle Bobble, and it works really good. You can use these buttons, but I found that you get a lot more accuracy using the slider here, and it lets you slide all the way across into these other fields. G, F. We got any double Fs anywhere? No. G. Now I'll get that to disappear. There we go. So it's Puzzle Bobble, but it works perfectly fine. And then you can't use the home button down here because it lets the slider go all the way. You got to hit the home button up here. But that's it. I mean, I could load a lot more games. There's some RPGs on here. There's some like race games, stuff like that. Certain things don't look too good on here, but little things like RPGs and some of these games like this, especially golf stuff, really fun. They work great. And, that's just the way to do it. To wrap up, again, if you want to play on your computer, you can just go to, you just go to PalmDB, and you can look around. And like for me, just to show you, like I only got 3.1, so I go into the OS devices for 3.0. And when I click that, it'll show me everything just for these devices. And you can just keep scrolling through and looking for something that looks like fun. And if you don't find anything, you can hunt through the Internet Archive. See, like let me get the light off of that a bit. I'll pull it back because we don't need to see that so much. That way you can see the screen some more. But there's, like I said, role-playing games. There are hacks to overclock it if you want your system to work a little faster. Agent Z looks kind of like elevator action maybe or something. I don't know. Been put in there, changing, receiving, microfilm stolen. So lots of people have made games, and you can see if you have a newer version like a 3.5 color Palm OS or higher, you can play games in color. But again, if you don't have anything, simply just go on here and under the popular downloads, you can see the Palm Simulator stuff. And there's several versions of this. And they also say that if you're using older stuff, which might be like what I'm using, to test older version of Palm OS, see the Palm OS emulator, which is probably the stuff for grayscale. I haven't even played with these yet, but I'm sure I'm going to play with them soon, just because I'm having some fun with this right now. So that's it. There's a way to have a little fun, and we'll see you next time. So long.